been going so well for them after doing quite admirably well in phase 1. They unfortunately look much less solid here in this current phase. Now, the first map is Sky Temple. Once again, for those of you guys who are wondering why we have 4 grayed out maps here, Tetra can explain why.
The way it works, and we have been able to confirm this via just deduction here, is, once again, we're in a double rotation in terms of map format
Double
here.
round
And
robin.
with 7 maps, you're just going to see the same maps all over again. The way China has done this, has dealt with this, is all maps that were banned and used in the first rotation, this is basically treated as an extended series. So basically almost a best out of 4 in terms of actual map format here, meaning that every point you get is still just a regular point, but all the maps you've used can't be reused. This means we get to see more map variety, which is has allowed us to see Braxis, our city of Volskaya, and it's resulted in some teams, like FDT, I've noticed, saving their best maps for the second rotation a couple times.
Very true, very true. And I really like the way China handles the map situation, because sometimes, you know, especially the viewers were complaining about not having enough map variety, especially in best of 3 series, sometimes even best of 5s. So the way China does it is a very smart way to make it more enjoyable for the viewers, while at the same time making it a little more challenging for the players. It involves a little more thinking and planning on a strategic level. So basically the best of 2 ends here. So regardless, Sunny Lion, they start things off here with a Malfurion, whereas we see the Sonya being locked in immediately here for Hugo. And the Greymane is always a tricky one when we, you know, when we watch that hero in the drafts of the one, because it could be both Lucky or Meng play it.
That is correct. With the, excuse me, with the Genji removed as well, they seem to be Sunnyline. There's one thing we can absolutely say about both of the bottom teams of the table right now, Sunnyline and RPG. They always do their research.
Yeah.
They can't afford not to. They're at the bottom. They currently are losing in terms of skill. This is an issue with Sunnyline that we've spoken before. Very much an all-in on Cassia, but they're against Greymane and Sonya. We can see the argument there, but personally I disagree with it so far. But they always do their research because they have so many disadvantages as it is in terms of like a shortcoming here or there, that they have to take every advantage they can get. And knowing your opponent's strengths and weaknesses stats-wise is a huge deal.
Yeah, and I think there's another thing that we can say about the bottom tier teams of China, namely that you can never count them out. No matter who you're facing, whether it's KT, RPG, or even Sunny Lion, there's always a chance of them showing up strong on that very specific day and take a map away from you. We saw that yesterday when RPG just managed to somehow stay in the game after Sunny Lion had been turning it up so hard. We saw it many times in the past now that KT was actually able to take maps of teams like SOA, for instance. So there's always this X factor in China going on right now, where both teams have an immediate chance of taking a game, maybe even the series.
As Malthael is banned out, one of the biggest straight-up solo lane counters to the Sonya. With the Sonya in play, it's unlikely we're going to see an Illidan, isn't it? Which is strange that the one went all into it, considering all they could see was Malfurion.
Yeah, I think there's also a very little chance of Illidan in general for the one this time, because there's already the Cassia, and Cassia is normally one of the stronger counters to Illidan.
Yeah, I just meant as their opening.
Oh yeah,
it seemed weird to me that they did that as their opening when they could have just gone They could have just gone Greymane and Stukov. Stukov is fine with Illidan, for example, and opened up that way. Still got a decent support. Stukov is now banned, so they've gone for Uther. But I don't know. I think seems unlike their drafting style in this particular game.
Yeah, they're switching things up a little bit here. You're totally right. Normally we're used to seeing the Uther first, maybe even a Genji early on. But that's the cool thing about the one in general right now. They have almost perfected the way of playing off meta and making it look good, at least in the support role. So they're no longer dependent on Malfurion or Stukov the entire time. So they will almost exclusively fall back onto the Uther because it fits their aggressive playstyle so well. No matter if you use the Divine Shield on someone like Sonya, Greymane, or even Genji, which could still be a choice to be picked in here, Uther provides perfect protection for all of them and really allows players like Meng or Hugo to go in deep, to play very aggressively. So up to this point, I think we have a very The One-esque draft.
That is fair. To be clear, though, Genji is currently banned out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think you meant Hanzo.
Hanzo could be a
still
thing.
left available for either team.
Yeah, Hanzo could be absolutely a hero we could see here. It's been one of Lucky's most played heroes, the hero that he was actually featured on the HGC Minute episode. He's got really good aim, especially with those Dragon's arrows. He is one of the... It's so weird because normally ranged assassin players are very flashy and everyone keeps talking about them. In other regions, for example, we have Ridge. In Europe, we have players like Quacknix, who are normally very flashy to watch. And here in China, there are a couple of those players that are very good, but Lucky normally stands in the shadows of Meng and Hugo simply because they are so aggressive in their respective other heroes.
The potential isolation of the Void Prison and the Mighty Gust, combined with a little bit of Mosh Pit in there for good measure. They have, Sunny Lion have a pretty decent isolation comp if they wanted it. Otherwise, if not, you could probably go for Void Prism or Hinterland. But we've been seeing less and less Hinterland recently, sadly.
Yeah, Hinterland's Blast hasn't really been the go-to choice any longer. Remember back in the days when Hanzo was way stronger when he was in his original form. Making his entrance into HGC professional play, then there would oftentimes be a Judgment Material, Falstad, Hinterland's Blast to really tackle the squishy backliner. Now with Hanzo being a little more well-rounded and balanced, I would say the need to go for this hyper-aggressive blow-up style is no longer needed. But what we do see here for Sunny Lion is, of course, the Zeratul. So they take a page out of KT's books here. Licia has been doing super well on that Zeratul, and maybe that's going to be the tool they need to threaten the backline of the one with, the Hanzo now being locked in.
Yeah, and also a little bit of RPG's book. They seem to have been also doing quite well with it. So Zeratul, exciting to see that. I've just realized that I am getting closer and closer to Hanzo level of hair length. I guess that's cosplay before I get a haircut.
Fantastic.
Yeah, let the beard go down that way a bit. But yeah, the Zeratul being picked up, Zeratul sort of leapt up in popularity for a couple teams, then dropped back down in popularity, and then started being picked up by some of the other teams. And this seems to be a consistent theme with Zeratul working for some of these other lower level teams. Yeah,
and of course, a lot of it comes down to the playstyle that Zeratul is now oftentimes seen with. No longer do you go for the auto attack build with, a lot of flashy blink in, blink out plays, but more often than not, will you now see a cleave build with VP, Void Prison, being deployed. And that, of course, fits the playstyle of China a lot because you can set up those wombo combos. You can basically force people to team fight, which is something that China is always all about. Now, speaking of the teams and introducing them once more to you guys on the left-hand side, we've got the Sunny Lion team with Pao on that Malfurion. Jaina is playing ETC, Feed B on that Cassia, Twilight on Zeratul, and First is playing Falstad.
Whereas on the right-hand side, currently seed number 2, the One, with Hugo on Sonya, Lucky on Hanzo, Meng on Greymane, ZJZ on Uther, and Hehe is playing the Anubarak.
Yeah, and if we talk about the One, we can't forget about Hehe, who in my opinion has been turning it up so much lately, especially his Muradin plays have absolutely been outstanding, and he's without a doubt one of the rising tank players in the region, in my opinion. Next to someone like Misaka or Wind, I think he has stepped it up so much. The only thing that sometimes... Oh, never mind. Look at that Hero Beetle intercepting the Spike Bomb here for Zeratul. Yeah, the only thing that he sometimes needs to work on, in my opinion, is his... I don't know, his over-aggression sometimes. He ends up getting in a little too deep, gets caught off guard, and especially on the Anubarak that lacks the high HP pool of someone like Muradin, that lacks the self-healing tool. He's going to have to play very careful.
Sensible laning setup by Sunny Lion, putting the ranged hero against Sonya, and the one with pretty decent self-sustain, level 4. Jada trying to take a little bit more of a roundabout route as he was in a bit of trouble. Twilight, slight harassment, not even an all-in gank there. That was just a cleave to dissuade any extra pushing potential onto that ETC.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the swift reaction here by ZJZ on that Uther? He was stunning ETC mid-power slide. Now, of course, Chinese players are playing in an offline environment. Using land ping is always a nice thing to have. But even then, you would have to be so fast because, guys, ETC is not unstoppable while power sliding. He can get interrupted and then the slide will come to an halt here. So shout-outs to ZJZ for having lightning speed reflexes already today.
Hugo having a little bit of issues in terms of health as such, will pause back after this, and Meng will finish off the Mercenary camp and take over top lane temporarily to make sure no XP is lost.
Yep. In the meantime, the two warriors are battling it off here for the Vision Tower. Greymane now, of course, joining the duel, joining the fray, and as such, ETC will have to back down temporarily. Now also Uther here, they need to be very careful. Sunny Lion that is, because Cassia and Malfurion, they're still taking care of the night camp, while the night camp for the one had already been taken. And normally if you manage to unlock your night camp shortly before the enemy team arrives under the tower, it's a good position, but already this was a little too late. Look at the first tower go down already. The gate is shortly going to fall after if the one wants to continue this push.
Doesn't look like they do. They don't want to take the risk. If that makes sense. You're against an ETC. You're against a Malfurion. The opportunity to be locked down is very scary. So they're quite happy to back up and continue soaking XP and preparing for the first objective phase.
And the temples will be deployed in 20 seconds. Now, Sunny Lion, on the other hand, they're already trying to make an aggressive move here. They're trying to get a tower in as well to equalize the experience gain. But already they're doing pretty well, catching up or staying up to par here in terms of experience, in terms of structural progress here. Sunny Lion not falling behind. Look at bottom lane here. By the way, we see Sonya getting invaded. Hugo in trouble, getting chased down by two Sunny Lion players. But Twilight also took quite heavy damage while chasing.
Which is fine for Zeratul, as it does not look like he intends to fight over any of the objectives immediately. Instead moves to soak the XP. Hanzo, by the way, finishing simple geometry. Hugo in a similar issue though, but he's nearer to his fountain. He's going to have much less issues healing up. So the scuffle over top lane currently won by the one. They are holding the line. In comes Cassia though, looking for the damage onto Hihi. First not is good. Or a charge though.
Oh,
not enough. A lovely fly in there by First. Beautiful get.
Yeah, First going in with the first blood of the game, ironically, no pun intended. That was a beautiful flyby here by Falstad, realizing that he needed to be there at the exact right moment to really take down the Beetle. We talked about this. He's sometimes overstaying his welcome, and especially when he's not on heroes like, let's say, Muradin or Diablo, who have a very high health pool, who have some ways of actually keeping them alive a little bit longer. You know, the Anub'arak shield, it's good to deflect a little bit of damage, but it's not going to keep you alive against multiple heroes at the same time. So it's not the biggest of deals, he dying here, but already it's a nice boost in confidence and motivation here for Sunny Lion to keep it up. Hugo now taking the kill, but falling at the same time.
One for one. Falstad's managed to achieve several kills so far this game. Meg in full retreat. Nice roll. Twilight trying to give chase. Nice knockup by Hihi, but not really enough to set up for a kill, at least at first.
Yeah, Meng dropped down very low in health. He's going to have to take the long way home, maybe take a sip from the healing fountain or teleport back to base altogether. Looks like the healing fountain is not available. That is quite the big deal because he's now reliant on ZJZ's healing. And with Uther having rather long healing cooldowns, you want to time those very wisely. And I think it is the one who realized, you know what, we can't fight over this temple anymore. We are already quite far behind in terms of health. And you know what, let's just take a chill pill and maybe try to get back in lane and soak it up a little bit. And look at Sunny Lion. Look how confident they're playing in this game against one of the best teams in the region, Tetcher. They actually steal away the Siege Giant camp in the half of the one.
That is pretty interesting. The fact that the amount of pressure they've been able to put on so far. Sunny Lion really making the most of their global and gank potential with heroes like Zeratul, with heroes like the Falstad. However, they need to be careful because, yeah, they're going to hit level 10 first. That's almost a certainty at this point. The one's level 10, though, is very scary and gives them a huge amount of turnaround potential, especially with the Dragon Arrow. Go for the throat, easy pickups on heroes like Zeratul, Malfurion, Falstad, but due to the fact that they are still a little bit squishy.
I think that can be said about both teams. Both teams are going to get very scary at level 10. As you said, there's going to be the VP for Sunny Lion as well. There's going to be the Roots to follow up underneath with a Malfurion. And even Mosh Pit is something that could be considered here by Jaina on the ETC. Yep, there goes the Mosh Pit. We see Tranquility as well, so no Twilight Dream follow-up there either. That's going to make Sonya and Greymane very happy.
Yeah, I think for one of the few times I really like the fact that we're going with Tranquility over Twilight Dream, because the fact is, if Malfurion wants to get a Twilight Dream off here to walk into range of Uther, Sonya, and the Nubarak, there's a lot of CC and a lot of burst damage there. It is way too risky to attempt such a move. The problem is you could get cocooned, which is obviously a case for most heroes with any kind of consistently running ability, but it's going to be up to Malfurion and up to his teammates to pop that cocoon as soon as possible if or when that happens.
Yeah, Cocoon could be a nice counter to the Tranquility indeed, because guys, you all know that Tranquility continues to run while Malfurion is sitting in that Cocoon. So in a worst case scenario, if the Cocoon doesn't get shredded immediately, Malfurion comes out with Tranquility being on massive cooldowns. So whether that's going to happen in that next teamfight or not remains to be seen. For now though, the one they have postured up quite heavily here onto securing that bottom temple. Falstad does have the flight, of course. He needs to go all the way to middle, though, otherwise the range won't be long enough.
Good interrupt to the power slide of ETC by a Nubarak. Hehe pulling back now, though. You can see Zeratul in position. There's a big old group up by the one. Zeratul needs to be careful. You can see the ping has gone down. The one, no, he is here. He is wrapping around, looking to potentially try and get a big old 4-5-man Void Prism set up for that mosh pit. Mosh pit just flew straight away onto a Nubarak here, but they're able to interrupt it. Void Prism on 2 members, though. One of them being invited. Oh, pushing the ball in, but what's the follow-up here? There's nothing. Mosh pit already down. That was just a cool move that looked fancy, but they don't really achieve anything with it.
Oh, he almost falling there in the back line. Zerkle tried to go deep.
The disengage was good, but the counter-attack by Hugo, who's just wading forwards. He, with no health, stuns out the Falstad, but gets himself killed. Hugo is super separated from the team in the one. Even though they got the first kill in this fight, they are still completely outnumbered, and their positioning is not good here, and they are taken out. That's a 2-for-1 in favor of Sunny Lion.
That was the most ambitious reinitiation by any warrior I have ever seen. He almost at the brink of death and already removing himself from the battlefield as he should have, but then decided to go back in. I think he was basically expecting Uther to drop a massive heal onto him, but maybe there was a cooldown, or maybe Uther didn't even expect Hehe on the other hand to go back in there. So definitely a communication mistake here in my opinion by the one, and as a result they're now losing this team fight. They will have to give up that mercenary camp, and Sunny Lion is in full swing tension.
Yes, they are. They continue to put the pressure on with bot down. The counter-attack, though, by the one here. Top lane is gone. Brave Aid and the Nubarak are able to take that down quickly. Falstad rotates up to prevent any follow-up pressure. And yeah, Sunny Lion, they are in full control. They hit level 13. Level 13 will be hit by the one shortly afterwards. This is the thing. The one are losing the fights, but they're staying like only half a level behind in XP.
Yeah.
It's not going to take too long or too much effort for them to try and turn this back around.
Exactly, I fully agree with you. I think those fights were going unexpectedly terrible for the one, because they are normally one of the strongest teams when it comes to team fighting. Even besting teams like CE and SBT repeatedly now in this season. So it's quite admirable for Sunny Lion to actually hold their own and even take a commanding lead in that regard. So is it just them performing admirably well today, or is the one still you know, a little bit reluctant to really commit fully to those fights? Let's see. We haven't really seen any major Cocoon engages. We haven't really seen any major Dragon's Era engages, right? But that also speaks for the quality of Sunny Lion today. They do not get caught isolatedly. They do not get caught separately here. So the one, they can't even capitalize on any potential missteps here. Hugo forced to clear that top lane. Otherwise, the fort would be a goner. And that moment here is immediately capitalized on here by Sunny Lion, who are already trying to take the boss. Hugo now realized that his team needs him, but is he going to make it in time? I don't think so, Tetcher.
The boss was seen by a Sonic Arrow here. This is going to have to be a pretty clutch engage to hold this. Void Prism's good. Dragon Arrow, Uber Kogan on the point. Zeratul with the crazy interrupt. And the boss stun onto the Uther anyway. He gets dropped to below. Cocoon is on HGC, which is pretty nice here. But now he might just power through and try to mosh them if it's off cooldown. They're able to pick up the kill, and the boss now pushing in bot lane.
That was absolute masterclass here by Sunny Lion. They realized the moment that Hugo showed himself in the top lane, they would try to take that boss. And guess what? With the Falstad and the VP offering so much zoning and boss control, they were very confident and very eager to take it in the first place. Now, Hugo came too late. The interrupts were not working because of the 3-man VP here by Wildlight, who's playing out of his mind today. Wildlight considered to be, at least in my books, considered to be a liability in previous games, but today he's absolutely dominating it. And now Hihi, with a moment of despair here, trying to somehow, some way find an opening here, but Sunnyline, they're too cool. They're too collected today. They're running away when they need to run away, and they take objectives when it's safe to do so. They're just playing on a whole different level today.
Yes, they are. They're looking really good, and as such, they are looking to take this top bruiser camp, stealing away the Mercs here. Moshpit, you can see here, back to our observer, still 50 seconds away. But the fact is, the mercenary camp in the top lane was never fully cleared up by Sonya. She had to rotate back down to bot lane to clear it up. The final couple shots taken by the one, but now top has only just been started by Sunnyline. And with bruiser camp as well, it's going to take the one ages if they want to try and move up here and try and make something happen. However, look at Sonya and Greymane here. It doesn't look like they even do want to. They want to try and just push bot lane.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the bad news for the one here is that time is not necessarily on their side. Cassia is only going to get stronger. Falstad is only going to collect more season marksman stacks. So he, who kind of seems to be struggling on that Anubrek in the first place already, I think he's going to get squishier and squishier because Anubrek is not really known to be the strongest of tanks against heavy auto attack damage. And with Falstad and Cassia getting really strong in that regard, and even Zeratul dealing a significant amount of damage. Speaking of damage, that was not enough. The top keep becomes the ultimate survivor.
It's alive for the moment, and the keeps, whether it's by an inch or a mile, them surviving is such a big deal because that's what sets up catapults. And so not having them die is a pretty big deal. With Sunnyline taking their own Siege Giants camps, the one continue to move as a group. Looks like they want to try and grab themselves a cheeky kill somewhere, but Jada has them rumbled.
Yeah, and then of course on top of that we see the blinds coming in every single time for Cassia. The moment she gets stunned because of that level 4 talent that she went for. Whenever Cassia gets stunned by an Anubrek, by a Sonya Spear, and so on and so forth, there's going to be a blind in an increased radius. So that means Sonya, no auto attack damage. Greymane, Hanzo. Okay, Hanzo normally shouldn't be inside, but even if he gets a little too close, he's also going to get blinded. So Greymane already, Meng, we're used to seeing him dominate. We're used to seeing him on the Genji and even on Greymane just annihilating people left, right, and center. But in this game, Tetcher, I'm afraid to say that he was shut down a little bit, although at least he didn't die, so he was still able to collect 9 stacks of Wizened Duelist.
Yeah, it turns out sometimes all you need to do to be able to defeat one of the top teams in the league is, you know, research them and find out what their strengths are. And the Sunnyline have played that very, very well. They've banged out one of the banned out one of the biggest threats, and then played the map beautifully. Yeah,
exactly. Couldn't agree more. The fact that they removed the Genji was very smart in the first place, and Uther all of a sudden doesn't really have that hyper-aggressive carry hero that is worth Divine Shielding now. The Dragons are completely missing, unfortunately, but Jaina is still the target that they want to focus on. So already, so many cooldowns were burned, and Jaina is still sitting at a comfortable 60-70% health now. Cocoon goes in, and the one are hungry. They want to make something happen right here, right now, and they do so.
Jada gets detonated there. That was pretty good. Feed trying to turn around, gusting everyone into a group. Ball Lightning clearly kills the Sonya, but the Divine Shield keeps her alive. Sonya, though, completely separated. A nice Lightning Fury there. Looking for CJZ to fend as well, and down goes Uther. Falstad's not done. He wants Meng. Needs to be careful. He could get burst here if he goes alone. And as such, he lets them go. But a 3-for-1 in favor of Sunny Lion. They take any opportunity, losing HGC first and turning it into a huge win.
Yeah, Feed B, you ferocious monster, you in that fight. He was hitting every single ability, every single spare connected. And if you don't take care of the Cassia, she's going to ruin your life. And guess what Sunny Lion is going to do here now? They're trying to get that keep. They wouldn't even have to go this way. They could go straight for the temple as well, which would have done the job anyways. But this way, they saved a laser shot. And you know, maximum efficiency here. Why not be the team who does it for once, right? Normally, it's Sunny Lion who finds themselves in a position to play from behind. And this time, they're actually the ones sitting in a commanding lead here. Not only because they were doing so well in the rotations and macro play, but most importantly because their team fighting was impeccable. Meng, I don't know if you should be here. That is the wrong neighborhood. I think the snap the trap is going to snap soon from the Sunny line, but they're still waiting.
Okay.
Still want to check the perimeter. Falstad is not here.
Yeah, it's no longer a trap. They do now know Falstad has flowed in. EGC gonna do a simple cast, not even needing a face spell. And there is the mosh pit, grabbing 2 lovely cleanse cluster vibe shield by Uther. ZJZ with the clutch move. And they make something of this. First is dropping low with the poison spear. Uther already dead. Ghost Uther on the But Hugo is so separated, even Ghost Uther can't keep him alive. The Void Prison on he completely separated him from the team, and they pull back a 3-0, and the boss is taken by Sunny Lion.
The boss is taken, 30 seconds on Uther, 40 seconds on Hugo, and the Sonya. I think this is going to be very much impossible to hold for the one. They would need a miracle here to keep their core safe and sound. The boss alone is such a big menace. The big boy hammering on the core. Can they hold it? He and Lucky with their backs against the wall, and the core is dropping so low, so rapidly. It is going to be the 1-0 lead for Sunny Lion against one of the strongest teams in the region. For the first time in this phase, the one